now.
Okay, so hello everyone. I am here with Brittany and Ariel, and this podcast or this part of the podcast will be looking at interpersonal violence, also known as IPV. So IPV is a form of domestic violence by a current or former spouse or partner in an intimate relationships against the other spouse or partner, and it can include a number of forms of abuse such as physical, verbal, emotional, economic, stalking, and sexual, and even homicide, which that was something I didn't know before until I researched this topic. So some of the statistics that comes with IPV is that 1 in 10 women have been raped by an intimate partner, and on a typical day, there are more than 20,000 phone calls to a domestic hotline nationwide that when you call them, you can tell them that you're in an abusive relationship by a partner or former partner. And there's only 34% of people who are injured by their intimate partners that receive medical care for their injuries. So that's obviously a big issue today in society. It's the fact that that amount of people are not or are receiving medical help. That's very concerning, knowing that fact that there's probably tons of thousands of cases a day where people are being abused by partners or former partners in some sense. So looking at IPV on college campuses, because it does tend to take place the most there, apparently there's 32% on college campuses is where these kinds of abuse takes place. And according to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, about 6 in every 1,000 students will be sexually assaulted on college campuses. And one of the biggest issues is that the US Department of Education put in place the Title IX protections, which require colleges and universities to investigate instances of domestic violence among their students and take care to protect their victims from their abuses. However, the laws in the United States do not require legal trials, and administrators cannot use legal protective orders or jail time. And as a result, many victims of abuse on college campuses who seek help from the administration are left more vulnerable than the victims in the real world. So I feel like the three of us being, college students, this is a very scary thing to, have to deal with. And especially if you're living, in a dorm and you think, oh man, like, what if this guy that I am friends with or know, like, what if he could harm me in any way? So I think that's like really scary to, female students specifically don't feel safe on college campuses, knowing the fact that, Title IX office, they can't really do much. So I don't know, do you guys have any cases of feeling like weirded out or sexual assault, any type thing?
I don't think, not here at Clemson, like on campus, not on campus, but definitely like within like the bar scene downtown, because I'm of age to go out downtown. I've had instances where, boys thinking that it's okay to do certain things just because you are, provocatively dancing on them or because they bought you a drink. I had this one instance where I was trying to buy myself a drink, and this was like a month ago. And I was trying to buy myself a drink at Triple T's, and this guy, I'm not really sure his age, came up beside me, and as a compliment, as his way to hit on me, he said, "You have the nicest body in this whole bar." And I was like, "Thank you," and then moved away and went to a different side of the bar. And then he apparently bought my drink for me from what the bartender told me. And I said, okay. And then I took the drink and went like around to my friends, and he started following me throughout the whole like bar, and it was very scary and very weird. But thankfully I was in such of a big group with my friends, he couldn't like get near me. But it was very awkward and very weird, and I don't think he went to Clemson because he looked too old to go to Clemson, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What
Mm-hmm.
about you, Ariel?
Personally, I haven't had any encounters, knock on wood, but I think just being a young lady and then a woman as well, for example, we think about walking alone in the dark, or men have that privilege, most men, of not even thinking about it, just going to walk at nighttime. Like, I'm not going to do that. There's so many thoughts going in my head about if I was to walk alone or even just walk with friends at night by ourselves. That's something that I think a lot of women face. And I really think it's something that should be talked about. I think a lot of it has been pushed under the rug. So I think your initiative is absolutely excellent, Mariana. And yeah, it needs to be addressed.
Yeah, definitely. I know for me, I talked about this briefly in class when I gave this presentation, but I'll talk about it again since it's important for people to hear my situation and what I went through. So I transferred to Clemson in the fall of 2019, and I was able to make friends pretty quickly, especially with some of the people living on my floor in the dorms. I lived in McCabe Hall, and so I made friends with one of the guys there. He was like super chill, kind of like, easygoing personality. And as time went on and we, got to know each other, this happened in November. It was just going to be the two of us. We made plans to hang out, and it was just going to be the two of us. And we were like, oh, let's just do a movie, something simple, nothing, not big of a deal. And we did it. We were gonna like watch the movie in his room because like his roommate wasn't gonna be there, and it was just like no big deal type of thing. Like, I wasn't really thinking anything of it. And we were watching the movie, and he starts to like put his hands on me and like on my back, and again, I'm not really thinking anything of it because I'm like, oh, this is like, maybe he's just not really realizing. I don't know. It was a little strange at first, and like some red flags were being shown, but I was just thinking, oh, he's just not paying attention, I guess. And then as the movie ended, I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to go. And he like, started to like get behind me and like start like pulling down my shirt and kissing my neck. And then at that point, like my body just like froze because I was like, I know what he's trying to do, but like I was so scared because this is like the first time I've been like intimate quote unquote with a guy, and like never had like any type of experience with this. So my body just literally went into shock. And then he starts kissing me on my mouth. Again, none of this was like with my consent, and it was really scary. And then all of a sudden my body was like, okay, like you need to get out of this situation before like it starts to get worse, because he was like starting to like try to like take off my bra, and I was like, okay, like no, I gotta get out of here. So luckily I left before things could get worse. And since that happened, I was like so traumatized. Like every time I would get into the elevator and like a random guy that I didn't know, I was like scared and like just felt so uncomfortable. And I reported it to Title IX. Well, I told my RA first that happened, because I was like, I'm going through like something emotional, like because I've never been through this trauma before. So she told her advisor, and then I guess her advisor contacted Title IX, and Title IX contacted me and said, oh, like, what do you like? Do you want to take any actions? And they like gave me a list saying like you could do like a no contact order, where basically like he couldn't like talk to me about anything, like couldn't say hi to me. None of his roommates or his friends could like talk about it in front of me. So I ended up filing that, but I just wish that Title IX could have done more, because like even though he didn't rape me or like, insert himself inside of me, it was still like really, really scary and uncomfortable, because it's like, I thought of him as just this friend, but obviously he had other intentions and did this stuff without my consent. And I think, my story is very valid because these things could happen, but because it's not considered rape or like really any type of, physical or sexual assault, it like goes unnoticed. So I think it's really important to bring up cases like that, especially in a school setting, knowing the fact that here's this guy living on the same floor as me, making me feel comfortable, and he gets to like get away with it while I'm like, in my room, not wanting to leave and not really wanting to like socialize with other people. So
And that's so brave of you for even talking about it, I think. Thank you for sharing.
yeah.
And I think a lot of it, like, sometimes I feel like women can be embarrassed to even share. It's like, oh, we feel like we allow this to happen. Where in all honesty, it's them. It's the perpetrator. It's not us. It's someone else who did that. And it's like we're holding on to this burden or the shame when
Yeah.
we shouldn't. So I think
definitely. I was like, oh my gosh, like, well, why didn't I say anything? Like, I knew he started touching, like, why didn't I do this? But my body was in shock, so I couldn't do anything. Like, I was literally frozen in time while that was happening. So, and I didn't have the best experience at CAPS because the counselor was like, well, just you could do this to like not have your mind on it. Just don't think about it. Focus on your studies. And I was like, well, I can't because he lives on the same floor as me. I'm gonna see him every time. And so unfortunately, my CAPS experience wasn't the best, but I definitely don't want my experience to like stop people from seeking help,
Yeah, I think a big one with what you said about the cap situation when you told your counselor, you said it was a guy, and I think that, not saying that all men are like that, but a lot of men don't share the same sympathy. Because I know when I told my therapist about a situation that happened, not the bar situation, but a different situation that I'm not completely comfortable talking about quite yet. She wanted to help like take it to like court and everything, and she was just like, regardless if y'all had consensual sex before, like that wasn't consensual, and so therefore like we can take this way and I'll be with you every step of the way. And I think a lot of the times like it's better to seek help from a woman than it is from a man, especially in those.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about this subject too is like I'm always like on TikTok and like I'll see like videos pop up on my For You page of like girls being stalked and like in their car like freaking out because they just had like some weird experience of a guy following them around, or like I saw this specific one that was like trending a lot, and there was like this girl being stalked constantly by this like older dude, and she said, leave me alone, like I don't know what you want from me. And he was like, I just want to talk to you, and she just wasn't having it. It was really scary. It's like crazy how, not saying that men don't experience this at all, because they definitely do, but women go through it the most, and guys just, they'll look back and say, oh, like just be friendly, like what's the big deal type thing. So yeah, I think we need to shine more light on this subject because many women will often lose their lives because of this, and or just never share their story and live in constant fear and trauma.
Yeah, a really good class here at Clemson, especially us women's leadership majors, is the Me Too class, which is amazing, taught by Megan. She's an amazing woman.
Shout out to Megan. So Clemson actually just recently hired an interpersonal violence coordinator. Her name is Lauren Parker. If people want, they can just research her name on Google and like type in Clemson as well and read about her. And if they're ever in a situation where they feel like they're in an abusive relationship or have been, facing any type of abuse, they can definitely contact her. Obviously, CAPS is an option to go seek if you're on campus or off campus even. Contact CUPD. I'm sure they can step in and help and do something. And then there's also like the national hotline that people can call if they are in need of it. But yeah.
And then also, if you don't want to talk to them, we also have peer-led groups here that will also take very good care of you, which is It's On Us chapter. that is led by many women's leadership majors, and there's Students for Survivors. That's also led by many wonderful women's leadership majors. And then we have a Pickens County Advocacy Center, which also touches base on interpersonal violence and sexual assault victims.
Yeah, and like one thing to always remember is like you're not alone going through this. There's, you know, many women who have experienced this and they've overcome it and fought it, and you know, just know that you can get through this and you matter. And yeah, it's important to seek help just like it is for mental health and all other types of, you know, traumatic situations.
Yes. And then I'll end it